Alright, you guys. I'm back. Oh, that's a little bit loud. I'm too loud, aren't I? But yeah, I am back, y'all. It's your boy Walterdoom back for another episode of Let's Talk About Horror, where we talk about anything and everything related to the genre. And just a fair warning for you guys, because I probably should be saying this more often, there will be spoilers alert. Alright, well, how are y'all doing today? I'm chilling myself, if you guys are wondering. I've been trying not to be missing in action this time. I mean, you see, this time around, the episode is up a little bit sooner than usual. You know, I'm trying to take away from all these 3-week hiatuses. You know, instead of like sitting here recording for you guys, I'm sitting around in my house playing fucking 2K and shit. Funny thing, actually, I personally just deleted that shit off my system because that shit has got to the point of pissing me off so much to where I'm just like, dude, I'm over it. I think one thing that really upsets me, and sorry if I'm running on a tangent right now, but I think one thing that really upsets me about this video game, it's the same damn video game every year, but they seem to always not get the mechanics right, or the control system. I mean, if any of you guys actually play 2K out there on any type of system, or a PC, I don't care when or what you're playing on, but you know that like each time when you try and play this damn game, it's ridiculous half the time. Where like games like, I feel like Madden kind of keeps a consistency going, FIFA tries to keep a consistency going, fucking 2K always finds new ways to kind of fuck this game up, but yet they're the highest selling game there is. Fucking crazy, right? But anyway, enough about that. We got a lot to talk about today. So in today's episode we are gonna have some really nice news to talk about this week, dealing with like the Child's Play movie. I'm gonna talk about Us also because I seen it recently. I'm not gonna give away too much about the movie, but it's been like a couple of days since I last seen it, and I kind of remember some things, but at the same time, I kind of don't remember some things. But at the same time, I do remember my emotion while seeing this movie. Also, we're going to talk about the newest Into the Dark series on Hulu, which is I'm Just Fucking With You. Oh yeah, I'm Just Fucking With You. We're going to talk about that and where that ranks with all the other Into the Dark series, because, you know, that's what we're doing. But first off, let's actually talk about the act. We're going to talk about episodes 3 and 4, considering that I was kind of late on getting separate episodes. I wanted to do like separate episodes, but because of the timing and the episodes in between each other, I was like, you know what, instead of just trying to force an episode out, because I'm going to end up being an episode behind each week, why not just talk about these 2 episodes and we're going to keep going each week? So I just had to put my brain meats together. If you guys ever watch Dashy, you know he says that shit. But I had to put my brain meats together and just think of a plan of execution properly. But anyway, as you guys know, I've been watching the Act series since it first came out. Since I heard about it on YouTube and they were talking about it while they were advertising it. Actually, I think I heard about it on Bloody Disgusting. I was reading about it. So, as you guys know, this is based on the real life events of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, even though some stuff is pretty much dramatized and what have you. But this series, even though it's not necessarily a horror, in true aspects. It's definitely elements of it, and the situation itself is very horror related at its finest. So what I'm gonna do with the act, I'm gonna talk about each episode, but while we're talking about the episode, I'm gonna talk about the timeline and the age that she really was in each episode. Alright? So first we're gonna talk about episode 3. We're gonna talk about the premise, which in this episode, Gypsy, who is the girl that's in the wheelchair, her and her mom, they end up going to a Comic-Con type event, which is in their hometown. And what happens is Gypsy ends up meeting a guy there, and he's dressed up as Wolverine. Not only does Gypsy actually meet a guy, but her mom Dee Dee meets a guy also, who is also dressed up as Wolverine, but more like a Old Man Logan type Wolverine. Whereas the other one, he was more of like the younger version of Wolverine, kind of like in X-Men The Last Stand type Wolverine, like the Hugh Jackman version. In this episode, Gypsy pretty much discovers her real age. Like, she finds a Medicare card, or Medicaid card, I should say, that actually states her date of birth. But not only that, she ends up also getting a cell phone and starts trying to get in contact with Wolverine. So she ends up getting a cell phone, creates a Facebook, and she manages to find the guy, which I don't know how she manages to find him. But then again, it is a small town, so it's probably not that hard to find people. But she ends up finding Wolverine, and she starts getting in contact with him, starts talking to him, and they exchange messages back and forth. A few takeaways that you could get from this episode, which I kind of took away from it, was definitely Gypsy's desperation and yearning to be with the guy. And you can see that clearly when she is kind of looking at YouTube videos, trying to figure out like how to kiss a guy and this stuff and other things. Well, mainly just the video of her trying to kiss a guy. You could really get the sense of like she really was trying to get herself a boyfriend. And we all know like her mom is kind of like isolating her and kind of like keeping her from developing and becoming an independent woman of herself. Now in this episode, she is like around 19, it's 2011, and she's around 19 years old. Well, 18, 19 years old. No, actually, she's 19 years old, my bad. Yeah, she's like around 19 years old. So she might be 18 through 20, anywhere, but she is supposedly 19. Her mom is still trying to place her as if she's like around 15, 14 years old. Well, she tells like the people at Comic-Con that she's only like 15. But when she sees Gypsy with Scott, which is the guy who was dressed up as Wolverine, she ends up telling him that she's only 14. I mean, it's crazy, dude. But another takeaway that we could get from the episode is Dee Dee's relationship with Gypsy's dad. Like, we kind of get a hint that something happened between those two. And that ever since whatever happened between Gypsy's mom and her dad hasn't really been the same since. I mean, Gypsy's is asking all these questions, and Dee Dee, she just dances around everything like she doesn't want to answer it. Because at this point, I think Dee Dee really is still stuck in that mind frame. And I think there is something seriously wrong with Dee Dee, like psychologically. I mean, even though it's not just the Munchausen disorder where she's like trying to put all this diseases on Gypsy. But I think there's also something truly wrong with her psychologically that probably was never really diagnosed by a doctor or anyone else. You know, I mean, we know, well, I mean, I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit if you guys don't mind, but we know about like the dude, if you guys kept up with the real life situation, Gypsy's guy that she's with, who ends up who becomes a prominent character in episode 4. We know he has a personality disorder. He has multiple personalities. Now, we know Dee Dee doesn't have that kind of personality disorder, but she truly has some kind of disorder that I can't even think of what it could be. I'll probably come up with it by next episode once I figure out after seeing a newer episode of the show. But that's another takeaway. Like, somehow, some way, the relationship between Gypsy's mom and dad, it didn't work because probably more than likely it was all Dee Dee's fault. I mean, I'm looking at it as it is. Like, Dee Dee's the one who's kind of orchestrating all this fucked up shit with Gypsy, trying to claim that she has all these disabilities and I want to say incapabilities, but I don't think that's the right word. But definitely she's trying to say Gypsy is handicapped and she has all these disabilities, when in reality, Gypsy had no problem at all. Now, the last takeaway that we got from this episode is how far Dee Dee will go to try and keep Gypsy at a stagnant level. Now, like I mentioned before, Gypsy was really into like trying to get a boyfriend. I mean, she was developing her womanly hormones or her womanly needs or development or whatever you guys want to call it. But she was becoming a natural woman and had natural woman desires. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, you know? But Dee Dee really was trying to keep her at a stagnant level as much as she can. And it's crazy each time when I think about this episode. I think about like when Dee Dee actually caught Gypsy at Scott's and she tells Scott that she's only 14 when in reality Gypsy is 19. Now, in my opinion, humblest opinion, I mean, Scott looked way older than for her anyway, for someone who is kind of not really developed in human interaction. You know, she really doesn't know how people are because all she had was her mom. But at the same time, Gypsy was old enough to make her own decisions. Now, for me personally, I mean, to see her kind of get that first kiss with Scott, I was like, oh God, here we go. I'm hoping this little girl doesn't get like raped or anything like that, because even though she's still developing her womanly desires, she's still not at that stage where like she really wanted to get dicked down by someone, to put it graphically as possible. I mean, that's just what I saw. I mean, I was kind of iffy on seeing her like mess around with Scott. I was just like, man, oh man, what is gonna happen if he ends up forcing her to do something that she doesn't want to do? And we know how she's thinking. And sadly enough, Dee Dee is almost kind of right about her state of mind in a way, because Dee Dee forced her to be that way. Dee Dee forced her to have like a delayed maturity or just even just a delay in how she interacts with people because she wanted to keep Gypsy all to herself because of all those scams that she was pulling, which we know were scams by now. I mean, if you didn't catch that she was doing scams, I mean, you need to watch episode 2 again. But definitely we see that she was pulling scams over there. Well, over on anybody and everybody. And it's crazy because reading about not really reading, but reading and actually seeing different news reports about the real life Gypsy Blanchard and Dee Dee Blanchard. I mean, that's all they ever had was the scams that they were running. Well, more like the scams that Dee Dee was running and Gypsy had to go along with it. But going back, I mean, seeing not Dee Dee, I'm sorry. Seeing Gypsy with Scott was definitely a cringe-worthy moment because in my mind, well, not in my mind, you could clearly see that she wanted like almost like the fairy tale romance in a way. You know, how she was when she was first talking to Scott about like marriage and what have you and all the things that she wanted to do when she get married. And, you know, simp ass Scott. He's trying to like think of ways to try and get in her pants and all that. And he's just sitting there like, okay, well, yeah, that sounds nice, you know, but not really like saying much about like what he wanted. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that caught on to that. I mean, hey, comment down if you caught on that too. But yeah, I caught on that, like how he really wasn't like really specifying much about what he wanted in his relationship. It was just more of like, hey, yeah, what do you want? Oh, that's what it sounds like you want. Okay, that sounds cool, kind of thing. You know how guys kind of talk to some females. I don't know if this ever happened to any other guys. You just let a female talk. Like, you're not really interested in her. You just let her talk and talk and talk till hopefully you like get to that point of where you want to actually be with her, whether you're trying to get that first kiss or you're just trying to fuck or something like that. I don't know if any of you guys been through that, but that's what I thought when I was seeing Scott like talking to Gypsy on the phone and all that. Like, he was just like one of those guys like, okay, that's nice, but I just want to fuck. That's about it. Oh man. But it's crazy though with him, you know, with Gypsy. I just felt like Scott didn't really want to do anything with Gypsy but fuck. But with Dee Dee, on the other hand, she had the other Wolverine who was whose name was Russ, and he seemed like a well-to-do guy. I mean, he sounded like even though he went through like a real fucked up divorce, he really had his shit together. Like, he was ready to move on and actually date someone else. You know, and he had a thing for Dee Dee, and what did Dee Dee do? Like, she just ran away. No, I don't get why she ran away, because to me, I'm just thinking in my mind like, yo, this is a gold mine for you. This is a gold mine. But she rather still play games of keeping control of Gypsy. And I think that's probably why. I think she was more afraid of being exposed for her scams and lies by this man more than anything, instead of just actually, you know, calling the whole thing off and saying like, hey, I'd rather be with this guy to provide, because I mean, fuck, you don't get many guys at that age willing to date a woman at her age, dealing with the crazy shit that she's dealing with, and to be like, hey, I want to know more about you, this, that, and the other. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. But she was just like, nah, fuck that, B. Put some New York slang into that. Nah, fuck that, B. Fuck that, son. She was just like, nah, chief, I'm not good with that one. And just was like, bye. And it's crazy because, like, after that, she goes back and tries to manipulate Gypsy. And man, oh man, I gotta say, when that episode ended with her actually catching Gypsy without her wheelchair, and here's another thing. This is another thing why I was kind of like, Gypsy, don't do it. Don't do him. I just thought it was kind of weird. I mean, it could have went two ways with this weirdness. Like, I felt weird when Gypsy actually found Scott in the hospital. I know Scott said he worked in the hospital. He said he was a nurse and this, that, and the other. But fucking Gypsy actually found him in the hospital, laid out, and nose bloody, and what have you. Now, to me, personally, I'm just thinking to myself, like, yo, he said he works in the hospital, but it looks like he's in the hospital. Warning sign number 1. and that's for her. Warning sign number 1. Is he really who he says he is? Because in the age of catfishes and people who fake who they are, I mean, that shit is prevalent, man. I had a friend once who told me, like, he went on a date with a chick. Well, should I even use the word chick? Is that really, like, offensive to anyone? But anyway, fuck it. At least I wasn't just like, he was on a date with a bitch. Like, no, that would have been unnecessary. But he went on a date with this girl, right? That he met on Tinder. And yeah, I know everybody's like, Tinder? The fuck? Why the fuck would you do that? But this is like a long time ago. Calm down. Young men, trying new shit out. But anyway, so my friend goes on fucking Tinder, right? He meets this girl. He told me she looked like Janet Jackson. Like in the younger days, Well, not really Janet Jackson. I'm putting emphasis on it. But anywho, yeah. He told me like she looked like Janet Jackson. Now, he made a date with her. They talked and what have you. They talked. They made plans. They went on a date. When he finally made it to the restaurant to meet this girl, he saw her from a distance. And what he saw was not Janet Jackson. What he saw was Sherman Klump from The Nutty Professor. Oh, man. Oh. I was like, no. Oh, man. I swear he called me up. Was like, Walter, come on, you gotta come get me, bro. You gotta come get me, bro. You gotta meet me up here. I was about to go on a date with this chick. It ain't happening, chief. So I was like, bet, I'm on my way, bro. So took the first train I took and got to this dude's area, because the area where we're at, I mean, you could easily take a train just because of traffic and all that. Los Angeles trying to become like New York City and shit. I don't know why, because we're not that type of area. But, yeah. Made it to him. We left wherever, because he bailed on that fucking restaurant before he sat with that chick. And, yeah, I met him like literally down the street from wherever he was going to go have dinner at, and we went somewhere else. just because he didn't want to go to that fucking restaurant. But yeah, that was one thing I had to think about, like, with just fucking with how, like, you meet people and all that, you know, and how they don't really say too much about who they are, you know. They kind of like fictionalize who they are a bit just to make themselves sound good. But anyway, yeah, that should have been warning sign number one for her. Now, warning sign number one for him is for the simple fact that this bitch is no longer in a wheelchair. She finds this motherfucker at the hospital. And the funny thing about it is, like, at the hospital, her fucking doctor is actually there. So to me, I'm just wondering, like, how her doctor doesn't recognize her. And I get why he didn't recognize her, because he's seen her in the wheelchair. He only recognized her from having a bald head and what have you. He doesn't recognize her when she's running around with, like, a fucking jean gray wig on, and she's walking, and she's dressed a little more, you know, like, someone her age. She's dressed like a 19-year-old girl. I mean, she was looking snacktastic. I don't even know if anybody uses the word snack anymore, but hey, that's how she was looking. But yeah, that should have been a warning sign number one for him. Warning sign number two should have been for the simple fact she went back to his place and she was talking about using all these kinds of medication, and she was just calling him baby, and like, she just sounded like she was already in girlfriend mode. Now, I get it, because she hasn't had much experience with men, to where she doesn't really know how to, I guess, conduct herself when it comes to a relationship. I mean, I don't know. Everybody has their own ideology on how to approach a relationship. And to me, I mean, I for one am not into clingers. I mean, I don't know any man that's really into clingers, but yeah, I'm not into, like, clingy, super aggressive, like, I need you type females. Like, that's kind of scary to me. I mean, I just feel like I'm suffocating. I mean, that's just me, but yeah. For the simple fact that she was already willing to lay her life on the line with this dude that she barely met, that she just met at a Comic-Con, that should have been a sign to him, like, this maybe not be the one to mess around with. Well, either way, they ended up not having intercourse or anything like that, because Dee Dee arrived just in time to take advantage. And man, was that ending really, like, depressing to see, especially when Dee Dee literally pulled up the wheelchair and she gave her that death stare, and it was just like, damn, bro, she's in prison. I mean, she is really in prison. So yeah, I mean, that was episode 3. Let's talk about episode 4. Now, episode 4 gets real crazy. Man, was I just like, oh my god. Now, I'm going to try and keep it short as much as possible. Maybe I try and keep it under 15 minutes, possibly. But in episode 4, which is called Stay Inside, the year is 2013. Right now, Gypsy is about 21, 22 years old. But what's happening based on last episode, because Dee Dee was spreading them lies about when Dee Dee was born. I'm not when Dee Dee was born, but when Gypsy was born. Apparently, they're saying like she is turning 18 years old. So, in this episode, Gypsy is, her desires for men is growing a little bit stronger, basically. And it's getting strong to the point is that she starts creating a dating profile, which hence is going to be the entering of Nicholas Godejohn, who was the guy that was, well, in that, well, we would say we're not going to spoil like the ending of the show because we know what's happening after that. But yeah, if you guys haven't like searched up the whole Gypsy Rose case, what are you waiting for? Search it up. But yeah, we're gonna still talk about like as if we don't know what's going to happen. Once when he enters the building, well, enters into the picture. But yeah, Nicholas Godejohn is now entering into the picture. While all this is happening, Dee Dee's health is kind of deteriorating, and she finds out that she has type 2 diabetes. While she's finding out that she has type 2 diabetes and have to deal with that, she also has to deal with any kind of, I guess, invasive consent because the hospital's called, and now that Gypsy is of age, Gypsy has the right to make her own decisions on what she wants to have done to her, dealing with like her disabilities. And everything is just basically on Gypsy now. So, a couple of takeaways to get from this show is not only do we see finally Nick entering into the picture, but we also see more struggles between Dee Dee and her manipulation over Gypsy, which is also kind of getting loosened up a bit because Gypsy is wising up a little bit more and becoming a stronger person, which is definitely all we really want to see from the character in real life. So a couple of things to kind of take away, sticking to the manipulation. Things that I just found interesting was thinking like when the show first opened up, I mean, we see Gypsy kind of like lusting over the lawnmower dude whose name is Matt, which we find out later on in the show from Lacey. Yeah, we kind of see Gypsy's hormones and desires, and she's just really like getting turned on watching this dude, which is interesting. But what we see also is that we see Dee Dee hanging out in the background, and she's just watching Gypsy as she's just lusting over this man. Now, what ends up happening is that Gypsy is forced to take a bath by Dee Dee, who is still trying to establish her dominance over her. So Gypsy takes a bath, and keep in mind, this girl is around 21, 22 right now. And she's still having her mom bathe her. Now, for a normal thinking adult, or actually a self-reliant adult, they wouldn't have to take a bath with their parents. That's weird. I mean, I had a talk with some friends about this episode who also watched this, and we both thought it was so weird that this mom is still treating her like a little girl, but she's looking at that womanly figure form. And you could see that she has a womanly figure coming about, not trying to lust over the actress or anything, but just saying, like, you could tell that she is forming into a woman more and more. And for the simple fact that Dee Dee is aware that Gypsy could walk, she still treats her as if she's still disabled. Now, I'm just thinking to myself, if this was based on something that happened in real life, what is the thought process that Dee Dee had when she saw the real Gypsy naked and she's bathing her and she sees like this woman that's blossoming? I mean, is she thinking, oh shit, I gotta keep control of this girl? Or is she thinking, I gotta tear this girl's ego as much as possible because these men that she's running after her, that's running after her, or she's running after them, they will take advantage as much as possible and they might pull her away from me. I mean, I'm just thinking because I can't imagine sitting there being bathed by my parent, like, at that age. Like, hey, mom, I need to take a bath. Can you help me? Like, it's so weird thinking about it. Like, just imagining, like, being 21, 22, or even just whatever age you are right now, listening to this podcast, having your parent sit there in the bathroom with you, bathing you. And while they're bathing you all through these years, and keep in mind, they're bathing you from like, since you were born. So we're talking about like from since you were born to like whatever age you are now and whatever stage you are in your life, your parent is starting to notice these bodily changes. You get me? You know, for girls, the breasts start growing bigger, ass and hips is starting to get a little bit more. Periods are coming in. Guys' dick is getting bigger. You know, hair is getting on their balls, hair on their chest, hair on their face. Shit like that. And just to have that crazy mom sitting there just, you know, wiping your ass and all that, that should be even more traumatizing, along with all the other shit that you have to do, which is the whole medications and what have you. But yeah, just to see in that episode where Gypsy, her period comes in, and I'm pretty sure Gypsy was aware that her period was coming. Gypsy ends up having her period after she comes out of the bathtub, and Dee Dee's all freaking out like, oh my god, how come you didn't warn me? If I was Gypsy, I'd be like, bitch, I wouldn't warn you because you're fucking me over in so many ways. I mean, yeah, just to see that was kind of like a power struggle within itself. And you could kind of see like there's more struggles between the both of them. Between once when oh shit. Oh my god. I don't know what. Hold on for a moment. Alright, that's a little bit better. Alright, but yeah, you can see the struggles between them, especially when Gypsy gets her laptop, which was a secret at first, but then because she was up all night talking to Nick, she ends up losing her laptop from Dee Dee, who finds the laptop laying right next to her. And Dee Dee ends up just smashing the laptop. And what Gypsy tells Dee Dee, I'll just buy another one. Now, hearing that from her mouth, I was like, yeah, girl, you tell that bitch. I felt like one of those, like, fucking black mamas for a moment. Just like, you know, the ones that everybody kind of makes fun of that be in the theaters yelling like, honey. I felt like that for a moment. I was just excited to hear Gypsy kind of stand up to Dee Dee for a moment. But that was kind of like a power struggle, but still in the end, Dee Dee manages to claim her dominance by using her type 2 diabetes to her advantage and kind of forced Gypsy to sign her right of attorney to Dee Dee. Now, what's crazy is that the lawyer that actually drew up the papers for them, she was reluctant to do the papers in the first place. I felt like she had questions. She was like, okay, what's going on? Why is this bitch so insistent on having these papers? But she ends up drawing up the papers anyway, and Gypsy, because she felt kind of sorry for her mom and was scared that she might die, she signed her right anyway. So she imprisoned her own damn self. But what's crazy is that I guess Dee Dee was trying to still imprison her by letting her know, like, you know, if you try and think for yourself, even though this attorney is saying that you could think for yourself, we could be in a lot of trouble with the law. Because everybody will see that we were doing fraud. I mean, she didn't tell her in those words, but she told her, like, they needed the money from all those donations, child support, and whatever else they were getting money from. That they needed that money. And if they find out that she is, like, okay and she could do things on her own, those people are going to go after her and wonder, why were we giving you all this money if she's able to do this on her own? That shit is crazy. But let's kind of move off of Dee Dee for a moment, and let's talk about the even more fucked up character, in my opinion, that I'm kind of scared of where this shit is going. Even though I know where it's going. But Nicholas Godejohn, man. Nikki G. Boy, oh boy, Nikki G. I really don't know what to say about this dude, except that this dude really has a Ted Bundy persona to himself, I should say. I feel everything about him screams serial killer. I mean, who knows? Maybe just a shot in the dark. Maybe he's the one that killed Dee Dee. I mean, we do know it's a mystery on what has happened to Dee Dee. You know, we know that she died in episode 1. I mean, maybe Nick has something to do with it. I don't know. Or maybe it was Scott. I don't know. But boy, oh boy, did he have like a very Ted Bundy attitude about himself. And it was crazy because he actually came out and said he had multiple personalities and all that. And that this nigga was a vampire. I'm just like, what? Nigga, this ain't Twilight. Shut the fuck up with that bullshit. Like, those are some of my thoughts. I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about, Chief? Like, what are you talking about? Shut the fuck up. But yeah, he comes into the scene and he's talking to Gypsy because they've been talking all week long, all night and shit on, what was it? Dating Christians for free or some bullshit. I don't know. Christian Mingo. Who knows? Plenty of fish. You know, they got plenty of serial killers on there. But yeah, this dude comes in and he really has like this I don't know, the actor, I gotta say, and this is one thing I really gotta commend the act for, are their actors. Their actors are really fucking good. Because just seeing the Nick character, I'm already just like, I could see how she is kind of enamored by him, because he's probably like the first person outside of her mom that actually saw her for who she was, and he just didn't see her as like another charity case. But at the same time, I'm just thinking like, dude, no, this ain't it. This dude looks like a straight up serial killer. He looks like a rapist. I don't know. He looks like he's very creepy. Which he was. He was very creepy. I mean, to call himself a vampire, and then he says like he's into things like BDSM, which is another thing. This is another thing that kind of like made me go, no, Gypsy, not him. Don't do it. But for the simple fact that he told her he wanted to show her something that she would like, and you see how he's kind of manipulating her already. But he told her it was something she would like. It's a BDSM cartoon of Beauty and the Beast. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, this girl knows nothing about sex or anything like that. Like, she got a dick pic, an unsolicited dick pic from Matt on the same website, and she got out of that picture really quick. So right now, her mentality, I would say her relationship mentality right now is of a middle schooler at the moment, or maybe even close to like elementary level. You know, she just cared more about having a guy complimenting her, kissing on her, and that's about it. She wasn't thinking so much as far as like sex or anything like that. She wasn't there yet. She wasn't there for any of it. But considering that she is 21, 22, and this is where we're playing devil's advocate also, we do get to a point in the show where she does actually kind of have phone sex with Nick. And I feel like that probably was maybe her relationship level maybe isn't at that level I said it was. Maybe she's just shy and not ready for it, you know? She's just waiting for the right guy to come along and, you know, she gonna spread open eagle on him. I don't know, man. I don't even know how to describe it, but yeah, episode 3 and 4, man, it's getting real intense. I can't remember whether it's like 2 more episodes after that or if it's like 4 more episodes. I mean, I know I was reading something that said like it's maybe an 8 episode show, but I saw something and it only showed like 6 episodes outlined or what have you. But I don't know, whatever. When the show is over, it's over. But we got a few more episodes to go. It's not too long till we get to the crazy shit. And on the last episode, whenever that airs, I am definitely going to talk about my feelings about not only the show, but the real life case at that too. Because I've been really like digging into like videos and interviews and just whatever I could read about the real life Gypsy Rhodes. And each time I read it, man, my sympathy actually grows more and more. But not only does it grow more for her, but it grows more for like all of them actually. You know, I'm a little sympathetic to the mom and her mental issues that were definitely not really attended to. But, what she did is still unspeakable. My sympathies still go for Gypsy Rose and her troubles that she had to go through. And even Nick at that. After hearing about his story and about his background of his life, I mean, yeah, he's despicable in every way possible, but at the same time, this man was really living a life where he wasn't given the right direction. And just like Dee Dee's, his mental issues went uncured, unattended, and never really taken care of. But yeah, check out the act next week, you guys. I mean, episode 5. We'll see what kind of fucked up shit happens. I haven't actually seen a trailer to it. I don't know if a trailer is out for episode 5 just yet. I mean, it probably is, but I haven't seen the trailer just yet. But I can't wait to check it out when it comes out. I usually check it out on Tuesdays at 9 because it comes out at midnight on East Coast Standard Time. So in the West Coast over here, it comes out at 9 o'clock, which is so cool because I'm just yeah, fuck this shit. I get to see this shit early. I don't have to wait till Wednesday. Oh, man. But what was also confusing, though, because I had to watch episode 4 twice because I feel like I was missing a couple of things, a couple of key components that was happening in the show. Not only that, I was also getting confused about her age and what timeline we were in, because I felt like when I watched episode 3, it said 2015 when really it was 2011. And in this episode 4, it was 2013. And at this age, by now, she's 21, 22. So yeah, I really had to watch that over again. But I'm good now. But anyway, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about what news came out. And it's some very interesting news. But anyway, see you guys soon.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Alright guys, we're back right now. And let's talk about Us right now. So, you guys know I've been wanting to watch that movie for the past couple of weeks since it's been out. I seen it last week. And my thoughts on it is pretty positive. It's real positive. I mean, is it better than Get Out? Well, not necessarily. I will have to admit that. This movie is real good. This movie definitely is, I do want to say, more of a horror film in a sense of slashers. Now, when I was reading up on this movie, I mean, I thought when Jordan Peele said that this movie was more horror, I was thinking more of the idea of jump scares, kind of like suspense horror in a way. But this definitely does take the mode of slasher horror to a new level. And it's very interesting. Couple of things that I found cool was definitely the symbolism of the duality of the two worlds dealing with the doppelgangers. If that's not really giving away too much, might I say, I mean, for those who probably haven't seen this movie yet, which I'm if you haven't seen it yet, what are you doing? I mean, but then again, I mean, I haven't saw it until I actually bought it also the same week or same day when I seen Us. So yeah, I mean, there is a duality that you see within the two worlds between the doppelgangers and the main characters, who are supposedly people who live in everyday society. And kind of like the representation that they were taking with these doppelgangers in the movie, they were taking them as if they were second-class citizens. It's crazy on how the development of these doppelgangers came about. And definitely the symbolism between, like, the small little symbolism of the hands across the world that they use in this movie as an analogy, which was a movement in the 80s. I mean, I probably wasn't even born yet when this shit was happening. But it was a symbolism to kind of like fight homelessness. And it was crazy because they didn't really make much money trying to fight homelessness. If anything, it had the adverse or reverse effect of like really trying to help them out. I mean, they made money off of it, but I'm pretty sure most of the people who came up with this foundation, they profited off of this movement big time. But yeah, a lot of symbolism being used in there about the haves and the have-nots, and just like what people of status see in their world and what's important to them compared to people who don't have anything. That was definitely a good symbolism there. I mean, I definitely saw the duality when I was watching this film between like the main characters and the doppelgangers. What's also interesting is the horror homage that the movie pretty much plays throughout the majority of the film. There are a set of twins that die in the film, if that's not too much of a spoiler, but like I mentioned, there are spoilers. They die in the same fashion as like the twins do in the movie The Shining. I actually saw that homage right there. I also saw the Michael Jackson Thriller homage, the Michael Myers homage with the jumpsuit for the doppelgangers as their uniform that they chose to wear. There's also an homage that I kind of saw, but I actually got this from a video that I was watching on YouTube when they were talking about us. But the Nightmare on Elm Street VHS that was sitting there as they were paying homage to that movie. The only thing I would say that I didn't really care about this film is probably for the simple fact the ending was pretty much predictable and the storyline was also kind of predictable also. Yeah, I don't want to say where it is predictable if you haven't seen it, but you kind of figure out where it gets kind of predictable and pretty much what's happening and what's going on and why everything is happening to that family. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's definitely a film worth watching. If you're not really too interested in watching it and you keep hearing bad reviews about it, I haven't heard any bad reviews. Yeah, just wait till it comes out on DVD. And definitely, or if they have it on stream, definitely check it out. It's crazy because this movie right now, I was reading on Blood Disgusting, this movie has officially grossed like about $150 million plus globally. I mean, damn, dude. That's crazy. I mean, Jordan Peele is doing the damn thing. He's also doing the damn thing with Twilight Zone. I haven't watched any episodes yet because it comes on CBS All Access and I don't got that shit. I don't think I'm going to spend money on that shit just to watch Jordan Peele's show. I mean, if it comes with like anything hot that I want to watch, like, movies and all that I can't really catch anywhere else, then maybe I might consider it. But yeah, other than that, I'm not getting that. But yeah, moving on into the news. What's interesting that we heard is that the little homie Chucky, yo, how does this sound to you? Mark Hamill is gonna be your voice for the new Chucky movie.
What are you, fucking nuts?
Man, this isn't nuts, dude. This is this is actually some really good news, to be honest. If you ask me, I mean, we already have like a really good cast being played in this movie with Aubrey Plaza, Brian Tyree Henry, and now Mark Hamill is going to be Chucky. Mind fucking blown. I mean, he made the announcement at WonderCon, I should say. I said WonderCon. WonderCon this past weekend. And yeah, in a video announcement, he said that he is going to voice Chucky. This sounds like it's gonna be good. I mean, because Mark Hamill has actually voiced Chucky before on an episode of Robot Chicken. I found this out from an article on Bloody Disgusting also, that he did an episode, and I watched the episode, and I've seen the skit before. It's pretty funny. It's dealing with Chucky and the Cabbage Patch Kids, which aren't really Cabbage Patch Kids. They're called the Lettuce Patch Babies or some shit like that. And what happens is that they come alive because of Chucky's soul, which is in the doll. And the Lettuce Patch Babies, they feed off of souls. And the funny thing about it, all of that is supposed to be a Buffy episode. Oh, man. An episode which Sarah Michelle Gellar quit. But yeah, this should be good. The only worries that I have for this movie, that the story once again might not really be that good, and it might actually not really be a good movie per se. I mean, even though Aubrey Plaza was already kind of hyping it up during an interview at an award show, it still brings a bit of a worry. Like, is this movie really going to be good? Because it is a remake, and most remakes to a horror film aren't really that great per se, or even to any movie, I should say. So yeah, I'm really kind of worried on that, but yet I'm still hyped. I mean, it's gonna be a well-acted movie. I already could feel that. I mean, with Aubrey Plaza, Brian Tyree Henry, Gabriel Bateman, with all of them being involved, I mean, this should be a well-acted film. We're just worried about the dialogue and the story. That could be the deal breaker within itself. But speaking about remakes, Pet Sematary. Oh my god. You guys, I've seen the original Pet Sematary. Sorry, I took a pause on that because I was wondering whether I should mention that the remake is actually out. But I seen the original Pet Sematary, and man, was that the dumbest movie I have ever watched in a while. I swear, it was plagued with such bad acting, such bad character dialogue, character development. I mean, there were some characters, I'm just wondering, like, why are they even in the film? But yeah, I did not like the original Pet Sematary. And what's funny is that there's a Pet Sematary 2 for the original. But what happens is that in that movie, they don't really follow up what happens in the first Pet Sematary. I haven't watched Pet Sematary 2. I might try to watch it, and hence I'm putting in quotation marks, try, because I really did not care for Pet Sematary 1. I'm actually really reluctant. At first I was excited because the movie within itself, and I've seen the trailers, and the trailers I saw when I saw Climax, and no, I didn't see it when I saw Climax. I only saw it when I saw Us. I saw Chucky's whatchamacallit trailer twice when I went to the movies. But yeah, seeing the Pet Sematary remake trailer, it does give this dark feel, like a darker, grittier look to it. And it looks like it's going to be less goofy or campy, as people like to call movies that are terrible. I feel like that's what they call movies that are terrible, when there's like silly and goofy and all that. Like they want to use the word campy to kind of de-escalate the negativity for that film. Like, I'm like Child's Play, the first one. I heard some people, when they were talking about the remake, they were talking about how campy the first one was. And to me, I really can't use the word campy because me as a child, I was scared as fuck of Chucky. So, campy is not the word. If anything, I would say classic. It was more of a classic than anything. But yeah, I'm really on the fence on seeing this movie. Chucky, what do you think?
What are you, fucking nuts? You thought?
Yeah, I don't know. I might be nuts to probably go see it, but if anything, I'm probably gonna like wait it out on this one. So this is a wait for me. But speaking of movies that are coming out, here's a movie that's coming out on streaming that I've been waiting for to hear like when it's coming out. Now, you guys remember the Ted Bundy film that I talked about a couple of podcasts ago? Well, it's finally gonna come out, and it's coming out on Netflix on May 3rd. If you guys remember, and it's a long ass title, and I can't remember off the top of my head. I should have wrote it down too. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but it was Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Vile, and Evil. Oh, that's the name of the movie. Look at that. Beautiful mind. But yeah, that movie is coming out. It's coming out May 3rd. And it's coming out on Netflix. Now, if you guys remember, this movie is based on Elizabeth Kofler and her life dealing with Ted Bundy. It's not really based on Ted Bundy himself, but it's based on his girlfriend. And if you guys remember, I was worried about how much of Ted Bundy are we really getting in this film. This movie is played by Zac Efron, who plays the killer. Lily Collins is playing the girlfriend. And we also have John Malkovich and Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. I can't remember his name right now. Simon something. I can't remember. But either way, I'm excited. I can't wait till I see this film. I've been waiting to hear when it's coming out and if it was going to be in theaters. I mean, I would have actually spent money to go see this movie. I don't know about you guys. I would have went to go spend money for this movie because I really do think it's that good. It's just like with the... Now, here's one movie I actually do hope that's like coming straight to stream. Is the Hilary Duff movie where she's playing Sharon Tate. I really do hope that movie is actually coming out on DVD or not theaters, but stream. I do not hope this doesn't come out in theaters because I really do think that movie is going to be terrible. The only thing good about it is just Hilary Duff is in it. That's about it, you know? Lizzie McGuire all grown up. Man. But besides that movie coming out on Netflix, there's another movie coming out on Netflix that is produced by the Blumhouse company. This one is called Thriller, and it's coming out April 14th, which is a couple of days right now. And I'm definitely going to check this one out because this is a all-black cast horror film. Yes, you guys, this is definitely the horror film we've all been waiting for if you're black. Oh, man. That's so horrible the way to put it that way. But I am definitely excited to see definitely an all-black cast. It's not really black-owned because Blumhouse, I mean, yeah. We all know who Blumhouse is. But I'm definitely am excited to see this film because it's a slasher film dealing with some kids who, the premise is that there was a prank that's gone wrong, which had a kid end up going to prison for 4 years. No surprise there. But he comes back, and when he comes back, he seeks revenge on everybody that caused him to go to prison in the first place. Now, in this film, it looks very interesting because it seems like it's more meta than anything. It seems like, and there is a difference between black people in a horror movie and white people in a horror movie. Where black people in a horror movie, we always point shit out. While white people in a horror movie, while they want to investigate, there's usually the black character that points shit out and just be like, yo, this is like a horror movie. It's like that movie where blah, blah, blah happens and he gets hacked into 1,000 pieces. It seems like that movie, but also to the fact that, and the only reason why I said like it's kind of like meta like that, because you do see a girl who has a gun trying to protect herself. Now, you don't see many characters in a horror movie with a weapon, especially in a slasher film. Most of them motherfuckers is going in blindsided and getting killed and attacked. Now, to see something like that, that motherfucker was ready. I was about to say these motherfuckers, but no, it was only one motherfucker. She was ready. So yeah, definitely I'm going to check out Thriller. That comes out April 14th. That's on Netflix. I really think that's about it for the news. I mean, we don't have anything else. Yeah. So anyway, you guys, I'm about to take a quick break once again. And when we come back, I'm going to be talking about I'm Just Fucking With You. All right. See you in a bit.
Red rum. Red rum. Red rum. Red rum. Red rum. Woo! Red rum.
All right. Now, let me level with you guys. I haven't really been getting much views or listens or anything like that for this channel. So, I think right now, maybe because I've been taking all those hiatus, I've come to realize I really don't really care for this as much as I want to. Yeah, so this is probably going to be pretty much the last review of Hulu's Into the Dark series. I guess I should have went more out with a bang than I'm doing right now. But yeah, this is probably going to be, well, I mean, nah, actually, it's not probably going to be. This is definitely going to be the last show that I'm going to have. And just focus more on other ventures. Maybe something else will work out. You know, I mean, sometimes you just gotta know when to call it quits, you know? Fuck, who am I kidding with? I'm just fucking with you. Oh, man. And that right there is the premise of our next ranking Into the Dark series. I'm Just Fucking With You. Where, and this is my thing that I realized, this is a story of where the troll meets the practical joker. Now, it took maybe just a couple of watches to kind of figure that out. I mean, I knew the character Chester, who is the character, well, the practical character, well, the practical, what the fuck am I saying? The practical jokester character in this movie. Yeah, but Larry, who is the main character, he is a troll. And within this movie, I mean, it's definitely a whirlwind of excitement. I mean, definitely totally different. Now, where this movie ranks, I will let you guys know in the end. But let's talk about a couple of elements about scores that I try and rank these movies and the system that I use. So, as you know, I use like a system which is based on 4 elements: acting, story, cinematography, gore, and body count. Now, not to say I need to be blown away by acting. Acting, I usually let that. I'm a little more lenient towards acting than anything. Just as long as I feel like I could believe your character and that you are who you're pretending to be in the movie. Now, I'm maybe a little more harsher when it comes to story, because no one wants a crappy story. No one wants a predictable story. I love story. I will admit that maybe out of all of the elements of grading a movie, story is what counts for me the most. Along with the gore and body count. And not so much cinematography. I mean, I do like well shot movies, but sometimes just like there are some movies that could be shot in a very not very expensive or very decorative taste or anything like that. But with this movie, I don't even know how to describe it, so we'll just get into it. So, the premise of this movie is basically based on Larry, who is going to a wedding. And he's going to a wedding for an ex-girlfriend. Now, the story about his ex-girlfriend is that she actually is marrying his cousin, which we learned from his sister, Rachel. Now, where Larry is staying, he's staying at this motel called the Pink Motel. Or Pink Flamingo Motel. I forgot what that shit was called. It was Pink something. And he comes encounter with this character named Chester. Now, Chester is a practical joker. He just likes to crack jokes. Or just like, not really crack jokes, but more, he likes to have fun on other people's expenses. He's kind of like that asshole in high school that thought that he was funny just because he did stupid shit all the time, when it really wasn't funny. But the one thing I could say about this movie that really was alluring in a way is definitely the cinematography. The cinematography was really good. I mean, based on like the colors that they threw in there, it was like almost like a video game in a way. You know, they flushed a lot of blues, pinks into the film. I mean, it wasn't so much as red that you got in there, but you got like an array of colors that were like used very beautifully in the movie. Now, did they play an essential role into the movie? Not really. Not at all. I would have to say the one thing that did play a role was definitely the sound effects and the music, which is also part of the cinematography grade, which I would give it. Yeah, definitely the music does give you a balance of emotions between when the characters are kind of being serious or giving a tense moment, like Chester when he first meets Larry, and he kind of tells him like if he has a problem or anything, and Larry is very tense and scared and nervous, but then everything gets broken up by Chester's laugh and an eagle screeching each time Chester says, "I'm just fucking with you." That's how you know it turns into a joke. Now the thing is, in the story, it's not really a really defined story. It's definitely very predictable in every which way or the other. But the story is kind of balanced with this whole Batman Joker chase that goes on between Larry and Chester. Each moment that we're progressing in this movie, oh my god, why am I getting so tongue-tied? Each moment that we're progressing in this movie, we get a bit of a tug-of-war battle between Larry and Chester. It's crazy. Like, we get that tug-of-war battle when the sheriff first arrives over there because Larry finds out that Chester knows who his sister is. Now, me honestly speaking, when Chester was fucking with Larry, I pretty much figured out two scenarios that was going on, and I ended up being right on one of the scenarios, but one of the scenarios that I got wrong was that Rachel was working with Chester to stop Larry, who was trolling his ex-girlfriend on Facebook, to kind of teach him a lesson. I felt like that's what was going on, because I felt like maybe his ex-girlfriend knew who he was, so maybe she got Chester to, I guess, dish out the same dirt that Larry's been dishing out online, because practical jokers do things physically. They are more of a physical humor type people. They love seeing people miserable. But that wasn't a scenario. I also thought, which was also a possibility, that Rachel was behind Chester pranking Larry a lot, which it wasn't the case also. Actually, I pretty much figured out within maybe once when Larry got to the motel and Chester was starting to speak and talking about what was going on, I kind of figured out what Chester was, which I'm not going to spoil that for you guys. You guys just got to watch that for yourselves. That's the cliffhanger. But yeah, there is definitely a tug-of-war battle between Larry and Chester that's going on a lot. It definitely felt like the Dark Knight when Joker kept pushing Batman. And it reminded me more and more of the Dark Knight when they got to the scene where Batman started losing his shit. Started beating the shit out of the Joker in that interrogation room. That was like, whoa. That really got me going like, damn. This dude Chester is just like that. Now, what's also like kind of like a balance to this movie, which also makes it really good, is the comedy. This movie is definitely full of dark comedy within this. It definitely has a different approach. It will make you laugh a bit. I can't say that this is like a horror comedy too much, because in all honesty, it's not really a horror comedy, because most horror comedies, they're terrible. Unless it's like Scary Movies. Well, the first two Scary Movies, those are good, but after that, they were fucking horrible. Seriously. But Yeah, like I said, each comedic moment that happens in the movie with Chester is balanced out by Chester breaking the tension. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. I meant to say it the other way. Each serious moment in the movie is broken up by Chester just saying, "I'm just fucking with you," which is supposed to bring a comedic moment to what he was doing. So it's definitely a very dark comedy within this movie. Now the gore and body count, I gotta say, this probably is the one of the biggest body counts since The Body. We haven't really had much of a body count in these movies as of late. I mean, unless we're gonna count Flesh and Blood's body count, which was definitely a significant body count, but we never really got to see the dad kill any of his victims. You get me? In this one, I mean, yeah, there's a couple of kills that are, actually a majority of the kills are off screen, but we know the characters that come in, and we do feel some type of way. We're actually kind of put in this conflicting moment of seeing some of these characters get killed. Like Jerry, for instance. I was kind of conflicted with the biker getting killed, because I actually thought the biker was an accomplice of Chester, to be honest, or someone that actually already knew Chester. But apparently they didn't know each other. They weren't working together or anything like that. Jerry was there for the same reason Larry was there. And it's funny because there's a scene where not Jerry, but Larry, he's going to the vending machine and Jerry is there. And Jerry he doesn't tell Larry anything, but he scares him. And he pretty much goes underneath Larry's legs to get Larry his soda. So Larry gets his soda, and Jerry starts coming on to the guy, but not in a very sexual way, but in a way that's kind of like he was kind of offering up one or the other, and the one or the other is to fight or fuck. Man, and boy did that had to be the most uncomfortable conversation ever. I mean, can you imagine some big ass dude coming up to you, 6'5" or some shit, looking like he weighs like about 270, look like he could pound you to the ground both ways. Oh man, yeah. I was feeling some type of way for Larry. I was like, damn, dude, you better get out of that situation. Is either you're going to fight and get your ass beat, or you're going to get fucked and get your ass pounded. Oh, man. But he managed to get out of that situation. But then Chester ends up playing a practical joke on Jerry, which ends up getting Jerry stabbed in the ear. Now that shit... And this is what I gave a 4 for this. The gore was hella crazy. But the only problem with the gore and body count that I really had an issue. Well, we didn't see enough of them get murdered. That's about it. We saw maybe 2. We saw 2 people get murdered. And then the rest were kind of off screen, to be honest. And the way they got killed off screen, and I get it. I mean, maybe because it was off screen, it wouldn't be that exciting to see. But it was definitely, I guess it was okay. It was a little above average. I wouldn't say it was like something low or disappointing to see. I mean, all in all, as a total grade that this movie received, it was a 2.8, which would give it a 3, which would bring it down to 5th. Yeah. Ugh. Which pushes New Year, New You to 6 and Flesh and Blood to last, while The Body, Puka, Treehouse, and Down still hold the top 4 spots in that order. Now, I just felt like this movie could have had a much lower grade from me. Because, like I said, it wasn't anything spectacular. The movie was definitely predictable. But there were enjoyable moments to this movie. I can't say I didn't enjoy myself. I enjoyed the jokes. I enjoyed the laughs. I just didn't enjoy some of the story. Some of the acting was so-so. It wasn't really that great, like I said. Like, their characters, they were definitely consistent, but I feel like the characters themselves didn't break any new grounds or new levels with their roles, and nor did they really find new grounds within themselves to where they develop into a totally different character. Well, besides Larry in the end. But that's about it. But it is a story that really gets you to think, like, what would it be like for a practical joker to meet a troll? How would a troll get treated by a practical joker? Because we are in an age of trolling and where everybody's comfortable being on the internet and talking shit without getting their shit busted. Oh man, but yeah. So this movie is that movie where you get to see some of these fucking trolls that we usually see online, on like Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, especially Twitter. I swear there'd be some hella fucking trolls on Twitter, man. Along with fucking sex bots and I was about to say rapists, but nah, that's not even funny. But definitely a lot of sex bots. Sex bots and trolls, man. And just plain weirdos also. But either way, this movie, I don't want to say it's a must watch or anything like that. I mean, you could definitely kind of skip this movie, but if you are somebody that's like into watching all the series of the Into the Dark series, definitely check it out. Maybe you probably will see something better than I see it. But anyway, like I said, it's in 5th. That's where it ranks. But now that we're done talking about that, let's go ahead and end the show.
Wendy, darling, light of my life, I'm not gonna hurt you. You didn't let me finish my sentence. I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in. I'm gonna bash them right the fuck in.
Alright, so now that we're here at the end of the show, as you guys know, we always have our meme of the week and a must-watch movie. And for this week's must-watch movie, we have Tales from the Hood 2, actually. And it's an anthology sequel to the old Boys in the Hood, well, not Boys in the Hood, I'm sorry, to the old Tales of the Hood, well, Tales from the Hood movie that came out in the early 90s. I've watched the first Tales of the Hood, and I really liked that movie. It's a classic. It's definitely a cult classic, worth watching. I know it was on stream for a little bit. I think it was on Amazon Prime, to be honest, but yeah, it was definitely worth watching, and so is this one. It's definitely worth the time to actually sit down and watch, because it actually touches on, I feel like, more black issues than the last one did. In the second one, it talks about, like, what if Emmett Till and everyone else who actually fought for black rights chose to just sit back and not fight at all? That was one interesting tale. Another interesting tale that happened on there was the Gollies. Actually, I think it was not interesting, but it was funny. But it was like a story about this girl who collected racism dolls, or racist ass dolls. And what happens is that the doll comes to life and he starts fucking her. She's white, by the way. And what happens is that she starts giving birth to the Gollies and all that. I'm just, man. It was a funny tale, but they got a couple of other tales that are pretty hilarious also. So yeah, definitely check that out. Tales from the Hood. That's on Netflix. For the meme of the week, it's this meme of Freddy. And what's funny is that it has this caption that says, "I was about to take a nap until I seen this nigga walk in." What makes it even more hilarious is that I actually watched Freddy vs. Jason this past couple of days ago. And I have to truly say, I'm forming a different opinion about Freddy vs. Jason. In my honest opinion, like, the movie was probably a 2-star movie to me because I thought it was really goofy. But after rewatching it, and I have my adult lenses on, it's not anything higher than a 3. It's not anything higher than a 3. I mean, there is goofy moments, but it's not as goofy as you think it is. I mean, the one goofy moment is when Freddy has Jason, and he's have him in the dream world getting hit around like a little pinball. That could be seen as a little goofy, but most of Freddy's movies are goofy if you're not familiar with them. I mean, I'm not really familiar with Freddy's movies. The only thing I'm more familiar with are his are clips and scenes that I watch from the movie dealing with his kills that he does. That's about it. Other than that, I mean, the only Nightmare on Elm Street movie I've seen was the first one and the new Nightmare movie. But yeah, definitely check out Freddy vs. Jason also if you guys want to check that out too. But other than that, I'm about to sign out. My voice is getting tired and it's all drying out. All I gotta say is you guys enjoy your weekend, the rest of the week, whenever you guys are listening to this, and I'll be back next week. So this is your boy Walterdoom signing out for another episode of Let's Talk About Horror. You can follow me on Instagram, you can follow me on here, you know, leave a comment, subscribe, like, do whatever the fuck you want. Signing out right now. This is America. Don't let them catch you slipping now. Peace.